Okay, we got the video going. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
See ya. Good to see ya. All right, put that down in there. Put this on here. Do 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 do.
Hey, no singing. We have our own music.
Yes, we do, and I have a little,
Put up with you?
and I have a little treat for you too.
Oh no.
It's our last show of 2014. Did you know that? 2 weeks we're going to be off, dude. Tom, how you doing?
Good.
Everything sounding good?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Start her up.
Recorded live.
GC Community Chat, show number 227.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you wherever you are. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of GC Community Chat. I'm your host, Kerry, and joining me tonight is Wayne County Commissioner Richard LeBlanc and Dr. Tom Iwinski. This show is dedicated to you, the residents and businesses of Garden City, as well as the surrounding communities. Remember, we're working hard to promote our community and yours. Well, Merry Christmas and good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, December 18, 2014. You're listening to show number 227. This is our last show for 2014, guys.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
I can believe it. It's been 12 months. It's the end of 2014. Did you hear about the thief who stole a calendar?
No.
He got 12 months.
Oh, my God. Okay. See you, Richard. Thank you for that. Hey, I'm your host, Kerry, and guess who's here? It's second week in a row. Our co-host and Wayne County Commissioner, Richard LeBlanc. How you doing, Richard?
Fan clubs, clap. Virtually. Virtually clap for me.
And our co-host and resident weatherman, Dr. Tom Iwinski. Tom, how are you?
Doing great. How are you guys doing tonight?
You know,
Good.
we're doing good. We're doing good. Hey, welcome to those of you listening online and in the chat room, and to those that will be watching us on our YouTube channel. Thank you. We appreciate your support every week, too. Well, tonight we were supposed to have Representative David Knisik, but Richard, he's a little busy tonight.
He is busy tonight. Today is the last voting day of the session.
Yeah.
And, of course, after today, whether today extends into tomorrow, we don't know yet. But after today, Representative Knisik will conclude his service and will begin as a state senator January 1st.
Ooh, exciting.
It is. Yeah.
It is.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, it is.
So
It's
we'll
a big
see.
deal.
Maybe we'll have some information by the end of the show as to whether
Yeah.
they have voted yet on
Yeah.
the transportation package.
Yeah, they're diligently working on a road fund proposal. So I texted David earlier, and he said they could be midnight or later. So it's going to be a long night. So we'll talk about the ballot proposal with you a little bit later, too. We'll go over that. Tonight we have another interesting guest with us. He is a local author and resides not far from here in the town of Plymouth, Michigan. His name is Wayne Stolt. And we're going to talk about his book called Crossing the Line, an Hispanic Immigrant's Journey to a New Life. It chronicles the struggles of two young men as they make their way through Mexico and then eventually making it here to the United States, and where they end up working. Well, I'll let the guests tell us that. So stay tuned. Wayne will be on shortly. All right, Tom will be here with all the weather for us, and we'll see if he has a prediction on if we are going to have a white Christmas or not. I know, Richard, you're hoping for snow, right?
That would be a big negative.
Also, Holly and Joey will be here for their last 2-minute gardening segment for 2014 with some tips and tricks they learned over the growing season. So we hope you'll stick around for the next 60 minutes or so and join in our conversation via our chat room by going to our main show page at TalkShoe.com and search for Call ID 82757. Once you're there, just click on the large Join In button, sign in as a guest, and you are good to go. Once you're in the chat room, you can type your questions or comments at the bottom of the page, and you'll find our phone number and show ID there as well. Now, your favorite part. The phone number to call is 1-724-444-7444. Enter the call ID 82757, followed by the pound sign. And you can always text your questions or comments at 734-788-9319. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and we hope you enjoy the show. Let me mention real quick, once you're at our main show page, you'll be able to download whatever shows you would like to listen to at your convenience whenever and wherever you want. Especially over the holidays when we're off, you'll be able to catch up on all the shows you might have missed. Good idea, right?
That's a good idea. I might even take that advice.
Yeah, we're going to listen to a few. We are also in iTunes. Just search for GC Community Chat. And don't forget, we're doing a video recording of tonight's show, so you can put a face with the voice. And that video will be available later on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Community Chat Show. Okay, before we go any further, let's get the latest weather update from Tom, and then we'll check in with Joey and Holly, and then we'll get to our guest. All right, sound good? Okay, let's do a check on weather with Doppler Tom. Let's see what he has in store for the rest of this week and the weekend coming up. Tom, take it away. Thomas, how you doing?
Good, good.
So what's your prediction?
Hey, not a whole lot of sunshine out there, so it's not been the greatest day if you wanted to get out and about. It's been a little cold, a little drizzle, flurries at times, so it's been a kind of a raw day out there. But luckily, there's not a whole lot of icy conditions developing out there. It's just that light drizzle that's falling from the sky. But that's going to start diminishing as we head into the next few hours. And low temperatures will probably be in the upper 20s for overnight lows. And then as we get into Friday, we'll see more sunshine as we get throughout the day. The clouds will again be hanging tough during the morning hours, and then they'll start diminishing as we get throughout the afternoon hours. And we'll see some sunshine finally after it's been a gloomy last few days with not a whole lot of sunshine out there, but we'll see some more tomorrow. And those temperatures will rise above freezing, and we'll be in the low to mid 30s. And as we get into the weekend, especially if you have any weekend plans to travel, it's going to be a good weekend to travel, so take advantage of it. We'll probably see a mix of clouds and sun and temperatures in the mid to upper 30s for the weekend. So it looks like a good weekend if you have any travel plans out there. But then as we get into next week, that's when things start to change, and they can change in a big way. Basically, as we get into Monday, it will be a dry day out there. We'll probably see temperatures rising into the low 40s. And this is probably the last time we'll see temperatures this mild for probably some time out there. So enjoy it while it lasts throughout the weekend into Monday as well. Because as we get into Tuesday, those storm systems will start developing all across the plains. And we'll probably see some rain on Tuesday. It'll probably be a little bit of a rainy day. Mild temperatures will continue. We'll probably be in the 40s again for temperatures. Then as we get into Wednesday, Christmas Eve, that's when it starts to change. We can get some colder air behind the system, and it can start changing over to snow. Now, it is a few days out in advance, and we just need to keep tuned to those weather models because the storm system is out in the middle of the North Pacific right now. And once this storm system moves over the land across the Pacific Northwest, the models get really tuned and more clear on what's going on. So we could see potential white Christmas depending on whether the storm system gets enough cold air in behind it on Christmas Eve. But I'm not going to kind of elaborate on totals at this time because it's so far in advance. But we'll definitely be cranking that number and seeing what's going to be going on because depending on how strong the storm system gets, potentially could drop a few inches of snow out there, and it even could be again pretty windy out there, depending on how strong the storm system is. So we'll definitely keep tuned to that, and that will continue probably into Christmas as well. The winds will be very gusty on Christmas, and we'll probably see some snow as well as that cold air continues to move into the region. And that will probably continue into next week and into the new year. We'll probably see those temperatures dropping like a rocket and not even getting above freezing as we head into the new year. So a big pattern shift is going to be changing into the new year. So enjoy this mild temperatures as it lasts, because it is going to be changing, and we could see rain changing to some snow. So we'll definitely keep tuned to that. Just go to our website at DopplerTimesWeather.com. But quickly changing into some other weather stories going on out there. That storm system was going to cause a lot of problems travel-wise all across the northern United States. So as I said earlier, take advantage if you have to travel during the weekend. The Pacific Northwest will see ongoing storm after storm. They'll see a lot of rain and a lot of heavy mountain snow out there. Luckily, unfortunately, it'll be north of California where they definitely need the rain. But they did see some rain over the last few weeks, and it has very little impact on the drought. They'll just need a lot more rain. But unfortunately, they're not going to see too much with these storm systems. And the last weather story I have is Japan. Japan has been dealing with a lot of crazy weather, a lot of snow as well. They've seen over a foot of snow across parts of Japan and the higher elevation. So interesting to see snow in Japan. So pretty interesting weather out there. But if you want to keep tuned to our local weather and this changing weather pattern as we get into next week, just go to my website, DopplerTimesWeather.com.
All right, so you're saying we might have a white Christmas then? Looks like it? Possible?
Possibly. It's just too early to say, but it's definitely in the cards. So we'll
Okay.
see what happens.
That's for all the snow lovers.
I got Richard an early Christmas present. I got him a ticket to Florida because he needs to get out of this weather because it's
Thank
going
you.
to go downhill
Thank you.
as we get into
My favorite weatherman. Thank you.
He loves you. He loves you. All right, thank you, sir. Okay, well, Joey and Holly are up next, and they have some tips and tricks they learned over the growing season on their 2-minute gardening segment. So let's get to them, then we'll get to our guest.
This is Gardening in 2 Minutes. Each year we garden, we learn new techniques and tricks about our garden. Things that we may read in a book or we learn on our own, whether purposely or accidentally. This year we've learned a number of different things that will help us in the future. We're just going to mention a few.
I've learned that you can do many things with Jerusalem artichokes, also known as sunchokes. Sunchokes are a perennial vegetable. It's a root vegetable, and they're different, kind of unique. And I've learned that you can roast them, you can turn them into basically hash browns, and you can even put them and lacto-ferment them for a nutritious side dish. You can even mash them like mashed potatoes.
One thing I've learned is people like to weed their garden, but sometimes we get carried away. You may not necessarily have to weed your garden. Weeds can actually help your vegetables grow. I'll explain. Yes, and weeds take nutrients out of the soil, which your vegetables that you have planted with the intentions of eating them will take. But weeds can also be a buffer zone for those vegetables. You plant your vegetables, you allow the weeds to naturally come up and go through their normal growth cycle. So when the bugs, bad bugs in your area come to attack your garden, the weeds have surrounded the vegetables and the actual bad bugs begin to attack those weeds and leave your vegetables alone. Then in essence you can save those seeds of those vegetables because they were the strongest strain in growing with the weeds and working together. So you have vegetables and you may have weeds, but you don't have the bugs eating your vegetables. But this is something that you have to decide on a garden-to-garden basis. For more tips and ideals and tricks that we've learned throughout the year, our weekly video productions, as well as our free downloadable digital quarterly magazine, you can find all that information at
theWisconsinVegetableGardener.com.
For the health-conscious organic gardener worldwide. For Gardening in 2 Minutes, I'm Joy Baird.
And I'm Holly Baird.
All right, thank you, guys.
Road trip.
Road trip, Wisconsin. We're going to go see them. I want to see their bug-free garden. Okay, let's get to our guest for tonight. As I mentioned earlier, he is a local author residing in Plymouth, Michigan. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Wayne Stote. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Doing well tonight.
Got a little cold that you're getting over, I know.
Yeah, I'm
but-
just trying to recover from it, yes.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. First off, book is based on a true story, yes or no?
No, it's not a true story.
Okay.
So it's almost completely fiction.
All right. So the book follows two young Hispanic immigrants and their journey here to America to live the American dream. And I said earlier that on the show that you'd let the listeners know where they end up working once they got here.
Well, they end up working in a restaurant in Oakland County, which I've made up. It's probably going to be somewhere in Waterford or Commerce Township off of one of the lakes over there.
Okay.
So it would be a restaurant that's been created in my mind that kind of looks out onto a lake, one of the 5 or 6 lakes over there in Oakland County.
And what is it? Kitchen work they do? Is that
It is. It is.
basically?
One is a dishwasher and one is a line cook. Thus, the title of the book, Crossing the Line, is another reference. So you have the border crossing and the kitchen line.
Yeah, line cooking. Yeah, line prep or whatever. So what made you? What prompted you to write this book?
Well, I've always wanted to kind of give an inside look that's a little more cleaner look than what Anthony Bourdain did. He wrote a book called Kitchen Confidential that many people, kind of an autobiographical book that kind of gave a sense of working in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. But his was a little bit more risque, or maybe not risque, but a little more edgy. Mm. And so I kind of wanted to give a sense of working in the kitchen, but also give a management perspective and an employee perspective. Mm-hmm. And I started in that sense when I started writing it, but then I went on a mission trip, 2 different mission trips to Central America, one to Guatemala and one to Honduras. And then I kind of really got a sense of the land. And then I also have worked in the last 20 years with a number of Hispanics at different restaurants that I've worked at over the years. Mm-hmm. And I've really admired the work ethic I see in that culture as they come and work here. Yeah. And so I really wanted to highlight that. The last piece that I put in the story was one of my friends that went with us on the mission trip actually ministers to Hispanics in the Pontiac, Auburn Hills area. And so he's the really only true element to the story. Him and his wife, they're part of the acknowledgments in the story. Their name is Joe and Jeannie Salufo. Mm-hmm. So they reside in near Auburn Hills, and they minister to a Spanish-American church there. So I wanted to highlight their ministry. Mm-hmm. And so they work and kind of help Hispanics acclimate to the area. They try to talk about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so one of my characters later in the novel both of the characters meet them, and one of them ends up coming to get to know Jesus, and the other one doesn't. And so then there's a conflict there. So.
Are they related? They're brothers?
No, but in the beginning of the novel, I build a sense of camaraderie with them. Mm-hmm. Both of them have turmoil in their families, and so by the time they decide to come to America, they have a sense of brotherhood about them. And as with many Hispanics who live here in America, they roomed up with 2 other gentlemen. So there's four guys who room up in an apartment, and they share the space, and they send much of their money back to their family, so their family can live a little better in their home country.
So there is a network, isn't there?
There's a close-knit network, and ideally it should be a legal network, and they're just helping each other out. Some of it is not. Mm-hmm. And so I try to draw the line that I don't condone the behavior coming here illegally, but right. I understand why some do. Mm-hmm. But I think that I appreciate when people want to come here and get some of the piece of the American dream. And if they can come here legally and do so, that's so much the better.
Yeah, right. Any interesting stories or situations that occurred during the writing of the book that you want to share with any of the listeners?
Well, that's an interesting question. Some of the things I tried to draw out in the story was I actually used some resources of people that I've met in my career and in my life, and so I wanted to make it as authentic as possible.
Right.
So I used the one gentleman actually lived in Costa Rica for 10 years, and so every chapter I'd have him review it with me. Another friend of mine, there in the beginning of the novel, I for about the first third of the novel, I discuss how the characters choose to come to America and how they leave their home country of Guatemala and they travel through Mexico. And many people don't realize that the border between Guatemala and Mexico is where every immigrant who comes from Central America has got to travel through. And so it's much more dangerous than traveling across the border of the American-Mexican border, because the Americans have much more mercy. The Guatemalan American border, you can have corruption among the officials. You could have bandits who could take over. They could abduct people. You could be working with a coyote to help take you over, paying some money, and then they sell you off or abduct you. And there's lots of things that could happen. There's travails that could happen as you're traveling through Mexico. And so
from Guatemala to Mexico, it's more dangerous than from Mexico to
in many instances. I mean, and I guess I suggest that because many people, the American side, when you come into the American side, the Americans tend to be more merciful, and so they'll just send you back. Whereas in Mexico, if there's corruption, and I think it's even gotten worse now in this day and age. My story takes place 20 years ago or 15 years ago, just prior to 9/11 when they come in, and so.
Well, what about the situation in Guatemala? Is that just as bad as in Mexico, or?
There's a lot of unrest there, but it's not as bad. Right now I believe there's, we have a lot of unrest there, and with the drug lords and what's going on. And so I mean that's not an easy.
Where
story
isn't there a problem, right? Really, it's like all four corners.
And so, the characters, and it was interesting. I built into the story, in Central America, there's a huge situation where the buses are a big transportation issue, and so they tend to be fast, and people travel a lot on them. So I built in the story. My character's father drives a bus, and so there's a big accident. So I actually resourced one of my friends to really build up that scene and how it happens, and what happens with that. And then when they go into Mexico, there's a hurricane, and so I track when one of the hurricanes happened 15, 20 years ago, and I tried to make it as realistic as possible with that. And they get some help from a Catholic priest in Mexico, and so I try to bring in some of that sense of camaraderie with the local priest.
Yeah,
there.
religion's a big thing, too.
Yes.
That's huge with them.
And it was interesting. One of the things when I was in Guatemala, there's an area in Guatemala where the Catholics came in to build a church, and they said, "Can we minister here?" And they said, and the local Mayans said, "Well, you can come in, but you can't take over, this church. We want to. If you do, you want to build here, you have to allow our old Indian shamans to do that." And so, when I was there, we got this kind of history of this area, and Huehue Chuchinago, and they talked about that if somebody wants to, so the Catholics and the Indian the old gods share this chapel, and so you could have somebody who believes in the old god system, and they could utilize the shaman, and they'd have to buy a bottle of alcohol and buy some incense in the local market. Then they go in, and there's these altars that go down the center of the church, and they could say, "I want to pray to the god of travel because I want safe travel," or "I want to pray to the god of to find a spouse or a new significant other." And so then the shaman goes in with them. And then on an alternate day, the chapel's taken over by the Catholic priest, and then they have all the icons of the Catholic tradition on the wall. So it's very interesting. And so I tried to place some of that mixed culture there that they have allowed for in that area. And so it became a very interesting issue. Wow. And so I bring that into the story. And then when they come to America, you have this sense of the old background of what they had in the Catholic tradition to kind of what it means and who Jesus is in the new story and what it means more relationally. And so I'd bring that in. And then in the latter part of the book, I talk about much of my experiences working in the kitchen. So people like the idea with the Food Network of what it means to work in a kitchen. I talk about, all the interesting things of food and cooking with food and the interplay. The other issue when crossing the line, it's in the kitchen, there's a real tension that happens between the waitresses or the servers and the cooks. And if you've ever seen any movies or watched any of the Food Network television, you can notice some of that.
I actually owned a restaurant for 4 years, so I know.
You have a sense of that.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So I try to highlight that in the book and try to delve into that interplay that sometimes happens in what's called the expedited window. And so and then I talk about some management issues that happens. And interesting for me, I teach a management class at a local community college here at Henry Ford Community College. And I was able to bring some of these situations from my novel into the story, like as case studies, because I deal with the discipline issue, I deal with interviewing and recruiting, I deal with the management, where the management has a meeting with all their staff and with other management. And so I try to draw into this. This is the way restaurant life is. And so
What about the language barrier? Does that present a real problem in the restaurant?
well, and sometimes it does. And I think what happens is many chefs and managers look to at least have some kind of resource or, I mean, the reality is in our society right now, we really draw a huge amount of Hispanics in kitchens. If you look in most kitchens, you see it could be 20, 30% of the kitchen staff are Hispanic. And so usually at least one or two of them may know some English, if not broken English. And so you might have one or two that might not. And so you're usually going to use one of them as your resource.
Yeah.
But one of the chefs I worked for in Bloomfield Hills, he always had a handy-dandy resource guide, Spanish translation to refer to.
Okay.
And a lot of times you're just going to look for a simple word like dishes or here, and I remember working at the one restaurant, and I'm demonstrating this is how I want you to slice the chicken or how to weigh the portion out the meat or whatever. And so usually hand signals work easily. And it's just that in the finer situations when you're working in the cook's kitchen, they have to have a better handle on the language because if you want to present a plate well and if you're in that kind of thing. So
and you got to be able to read the ticket or whatever if they want to better themselves to become a chef or cook. Right?
Certainly, yeah.
So it's best for them. It's to their benefit to learn the
certainly,
language.
And that's one of the issues. One of the issues I draw out in the book is not only the sense of faith, but I also look at the American work ethic. And so we look at the Hispanic work ethic and the immigrant work ethic overall, and then I try to I have a young person that's interviewed, and the chef who interviews them talks about this issue of, well, what kind of work ethic do you have? And I kind of want to address some of this issue of young people today, and
they don't want those jobs.
They don't want those jobs.
No.
They don't want to have to work that hard.
Nope. No, they don't. I mean, they'd rather be home playing on a video game.
Yes, and when they do come in, they expect to get paid $2 or $3 more than what the businessman wants to pay them.
And that is, Richard, that's a real issue, isn't it, here?
There are
with the young.
Well, there's certainly jobs available.
Absolutely.
Unemployment is at a certain level, but it's not only because there are not available jobs. The old saying is that a number of the immigrants take jobs that nobody else wants.
Yeah,
that's very subjective, I think.
Yes, I agree.
But those of you that own businesses or are leaders within business, you certainly see it.
Yep, absolutely.
And I look at some employees. I worked at one restaurant, and a young lady, she came in, she was a server, and then she had a position. Then she got pregnant, and then she said, I'm not going to stay as this waitress. And I said, well, why not? She said, well, I can make more money on assisted living because I have a child now than I can and working in the business. And so there's either this sense of why keep this job making $25,000 a year when I could make more money just because now I have a child, or this sense, and then the flip side, you have the young people that think that I should get paid more for what I do. And so you wonder where has the work ethic gone from 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the questions I delve into is, we expect in the restaurant business, you're expected to work hard. You're expected to work for, the time you put in, you punch in, you're expected to work hard.
And, you know, everybody wants more money today, but they don't want to start at the bottom. They want to start up here.
Right.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, I look at students who a lot of times they graduate from a culinary college, they expect to get hired in as a sous chef or right away.
It's not gonna
And that's
happen.
not going to be happening.
No.
You know, you can't get into you have to come in and put in your time. You have to show that you can do the job well and demonstrate a strong work ethic and see that you can do that. And
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look how many people are out there with degrees that aren't working. I mean, it's just, you know, they'll take anything right now. So how are people responding to the book? You getting
Well,
any feedback?
I've really had some really strong feedback. I have people that really like the story. They said that they like to follow the read, and I've had a couple of people felt that it was really authentic and could tell that I did a lot of research into that. You know, when I looked at the area of Guatemala, I looked at the streets, and I made sure that was authentic. I tried to make, even though it's all in English, I tried to put in a little bit of speckling of Spanish in there to make it seem more real and make sure the characters demonstrate that. And of course, my background is in the kitchen for 25, 30 years, so I was able to demonstrate a lot of that in the kitchen, and people got a sense of that. So, but the part of it is that I wanted to make sure it was still a good story. And this was my first novel, so I struggled a little bit with making sure, you want to demonstrate a good ultimate climax 3/4 of the way into the novel, but then on the flip side, you still have to have a push-pull tension as you get to that. And
Right.
I really tried to build some of that tension as I went along, and that was something I worked with some local workshops I went to, like at Westland Library. They have a nice workshop for writers. I bought a couple novels, and then when I eventually spent a 7-year project, my 5th or 6th year in, I finally got an agent, and then he had me do some rewriting, and we talked about, well, what's the point of your novel now? And so we discussed that. And I said, initially I thought about the point was a restaurant. And then he said, well, what's really the point now? And I said, well, the point is the American dream and immigration. So then I had to.
It's a hot topic.
my novel first began with a scene of the restaurant. Well, then I pushed it to that scene to the middle of the book, and I rearranged, and I took a scene out of the middle of the book that dealt with them crossing into Mexico, and I expanded that into the front of into the prologue, into the very first page. And so I wanted to build tension with the sense of them. Are we going to get in trouble crossing over? And so, again, I don't condone that, but this is the reality of how people come over.
Yeah, it's a hot topic right now.
And so,
Did you send Obama one? A copy?
well, I thought about it. Maybe it might start to sell.
Really?
I'm not an Obama supporter. I don't think he's the best president, but it might be something that might help my sales.
Yeah, I mean, it might not hurt. So, yeah, I mean, you did a lot of research, so that gave you kind of some authority and expertise on this.
Well, and I felt I was comfortable as a expert
Qualified.
in the kitchen, but I wasn't as comfortable with some of the other issues, so I certainly did the legwork on those.
So, when you wrote this book, who are the people that you're trying to reach with this book?
Well, I have a number of audiences. I'm looking at, number one, I'd like to look at, I think one of my audiences will be from the Christian-based audience. They'll appreciate that I'm trying to discuss this issue that the idea of the gospel of Christ isn't just meant for the people we want to share it with. Sometimes, because of immigration is such a hot topic, sometimes you need to share it with people that you may not want to share it with, meaning you may have a problem with thinking, as this gentleman said, that you have this presupposition that somebody that is taking our job away. So sometimes people don't want to communicate with somebody because you assume they're illegal. And many times Hispanics aren't illegal. They could be the child of somebody else that came, or maybe they came here illegally. But they make a stereotypical assumption that this person's here illegally. And so I want to address that target market. And then the other thing I like to look at is for the foodie people who just like to read about restaurants, because at least a fourth of the novel
They can relate
to that. So people who either worked in the business or like to think about food or like to think, well, I'd like to run my own restaurant all day. Well, I give a real sense of what it means, how hard it is to run your own business in this book.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a clean, there's no swearing in the book, and so at least there's a clean sense of it that they can get that sense without having to go down into the dirt to read it.
Right.
And then thirdly, for people who appreciate the American dream from either a legal or illegal perspective, I kind of give the sense that people still want what we have here. And we sometimes take that for granted.
Well, what about politicians? Would you like the politicians to read this book?
Well, actually, I was trying to talk to one of the Senator Kerry, and I was talking last year. I was meeting with one of his aides
Okay.
in Canton, and he was supposed to shoot it up the ladder, and then that never got anywhere. So I think he heard about it, but his aide and I went through much of the novel. But I don't know. I don't want it to be a polarizing thing, but I would like some. It would be nice if I could get a couple politicians to at least consider it.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if we could. We might.
so
We just might know somebody.
so I
saw a couple things here that
All right.
on page 222. So some things just on this page that piqued my interest. I'm just flipping through.
All right.
M59, Mustang, Vespas,
Oh yeah, Vespas.
Corona beer, Gatorade. So just right here.
Very interesting.
Well, and
real.
he's speaking of, there's some other things I do try to bring because the Hispanics, there's 4 in an apartment that live together, but I try to bring in some of the flair of the Detroit area. So I
like
have them
that.
go
I like
to
that.
American in the Lafayette, Coney Islands, and
Okay, yeah.
they bring home some Coney dogs and they talk about that.
Which are better.
yeah.
Well, and I'm not going to suggest that.
You don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there, but I know there's a certain sense of struggle for who's going to win out that war.
Well, people here
Political
definitely
way of
relate to
putting
it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I try to give a sense of that flair. I talk about the southeast area, and I talk about some of the local issues, some of the the teams, and watching the soccer game, but then watching Detroit the Tigers, and so I really try to bring some of that local flair to that.
Yeah, that's cool because people can relate to that, especially around here. Well, it looks like an easy read. I mean, hold the book, Richard, up to the camera. There's the book. Not real thick, easy reading.
No, and I wanted it to be something quick and easy.
And this took 7 years?
Well,
in the
actually,
making?
it took me about 4 or 5 years to write.
Okay.
Because I was working full time and writing
And trying to research
trying to
and-
research.
Yeah.
And you write a couple chapters, but then you got a topic. Well, I need to research that, so then it might take a few weeks to research that, and so you're doing a little legwork on that.
Yeah.
And and then it took me a year, 6 months to 8 months to find an agent, and I found online. I sent out probably 60 letters of inquiry, and I finally got a response back. And this gentleman out of Pennsylvania said he would take me on if I was willing to take some coaching and some rewriting and things like that. And I said yes. And so then that took me 6 months to 8 months.
So what's the cost factor involved?
Well, that's
in-
the other
in-
thing. I mean, I know some people self-publish, or they'll do an online thing, but this cost about $7,000, to put together and for them to do. And then they gave me 25 copies, and I spent another $1,000 just to get 200 copies of my own
Okay.
to start off. And now my goal, once my publisher, right now people can order the book on Kindle for only $10.
Okay.
Or they could find me on Facebook.
All right. And just, search for Wayne Stoltz?
Wayne Stolt.
Stolt.
Chef Storyteller.
Yes.
Chef Storyteller.
Chef Storyteller. Okay. Chef Storyteller. I got it.
And actually, there's a video my publisher's made that highlights the story of the book. You can
okay.
Google me, and you Google me, and it's a video it's about a 3-minute video that shows recaps the story, and then at the end of the video it shows my website, which isn't quite up yet, and it shows my Facebook page. But people could go to my Facebook page and message me, and then I could send them a copy of the novel printed version because I have 200 copies in my living room.
And what do those go for?
Those go for $22.
Okay.
And then I could send them a signed copy with best wishes,
Cool.
or they could download it immediately on Kindle and for only $10.
All right.
And I will have my goal in the next 3 months is once my publisher has the books available where somebody could go to a bookstore and ask for the novel by my name and the name of my name and the name of the book, or go to Amazon and get it in print. That's supposed to happen within the next 2 to 3 months. Then I'm going to do some marketing where I'm going to have my website up that people can have links. They'll have links on the website about me, and there'll be a link about the ministry of the couple that I highlight. There'll be some poetry that I've written also, and there might be.
What about local libraries? Can you
Well,
get it
that's
in?
one of the things that I want to push in the near future is
Yeah.
that I want to go to a library and do some book signings.
Okay.
I've already done a couple book signings with local restaurants, but
I can hook you up with Garden City, I think.
yeah, I'd like to go there and speak to them and see if I could maybe leave a dozen books there with them and
Sure.
then see if I could do a book signing with them.
I will
And so one of the
contact
things I'm going to do that my agent has suggested is I have 2 speeches that are in a rough sense right now that I'm going to kind of clean up a little bit and make sure I'm comfortable with them. But I'd like to go to a couple different audiences, have one at a library or anybody that would be willing to listen to me to talk about the themes in the novel that we talked about tonight, like the American dream, the issues of immigration, legal and illegal, and why people still want to come here. And
I'm also thinking I can hook you up with Kiwanis. They're always looking for guest speakers.
Oh, that would be
Kiwanis,
good.
Rotary.
yeah, I'd like that.
I think that would work real well for you.
So, and then
I'll get you in touch with them.
my other option that I'd like to do is then speak to some churches, like on a Sunday night, and talk about that. And then I'd have a half-hour session to talk about some of the themes of the novel, and then at the end, take some questions about it, and then have some books available for sale if people are interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to mention that I'm actually in the works, it'll probably be another 5 years, but I'm hoping to write a new novel that would highlight a different character that would come eventually work in the same restaurant. So I could highlight the same sub-characters, but the new book might highlight working in the dining room. And so I'd have a different sense of working in the dining room.
And will that be the Hispanic too?
No, it would be, I'm looking at trying to highlight an immigrant coming from the Middle East because we
Oh,
have,
right,
have
Middle
such a high population of Islamics, the Arabic population here in Dearborn, that I'd like to highlight a young lady and her husband that come, and then maybe suggest that they might have some difficulty in their situation, and then she chooses to go work at a restaurant, and so pose
You like to touch on the hot topics?
yeah, that would, and so it's going to be a kind of a hot topic situation. But a friend of mine works with tries to minister to some of the people in Dearborn, so I'd like to kind of demonstrate that how that kind of goes too.
Very interesting. Richard, anything?
You all covered it all.
Yeah, I mean, you really did. You really covered it. And I wish you the best of luck with it. I'm going to hook you up with the Garden City Library, see if we can get a book signing over there, and hook you up with the Kiwanis and Rotary in Garden City. And we know a couple politicians that
would be great.
Be very interesting.
As soon as I'm hoping my publisher in the next week or two can get back with me to find out when I can get these things rolling, and it's available on Amazon. Then my website is up, and then I'd really like to start rolling in the next 3 months, especially on the weekends, on a Sunday afternoon, doing those kinds of things, or a Saturday afternoon at the library.
Well, I think come the new year, you might be a little busy.
Yes, I would like that.
That sounds good.
All right.
Well, look, hey, very interesting. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for coming on the show. When you get the next book going, come on, we'll promote it, talk
Excellent.
about it. And anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I think that's great. I might maybe we can come back again and talk about the same book, and once it gets rolling.
Sure, absolutely, that'd work. And once again, they can contact you on Facebook and get a copy.
And they can go online and Google me now.
Or $10 on Amazon.
$10 on
Or
Amazon.
e-reader,
They
that's
can
awesome.
they can start reading it tonight and
Yeah.
find out who Louis and Roberto, how they come to America.
Louis and
Coffee
Roberto.
truck.
Yes, there you go.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
I cheated a little bit.
There you go.
See, I'm intrigued now.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the book too. I appreciate that.
Certainly.
And you're welcome to stick around if you want.
Certainly. Maybe I'll figure out something good to say about you in the book cover for you and give you a copy.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. Wayne Stolt, author of Crossing the Line. All right. Before we get to Richard, I did want to mention that the City Council wanted me to remind you that the next council meeting is Monday, December 22nd at 7 p.m. You're going to be there, Richard, this one? Or no?
What's the date again?
22nd, Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So let's
it's the
see.
last one before Christmas.
I guess I didn't realize that any of my communities had another meeting.
Yeah,
Oh, I do see it on there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll probably see you there then.
Yep, I can do that.
Yeah, that's at 6,000 Middle Belt Road, and the council urges residents to attend. It's the last one before Christmas, so you might want to get out there. And remember, we are taking some time off to enjoy the holidays with our families, but we will be back on January the 8th, right here on Talk Shoe at 8 p.m. So please join us if you can, and we're going to enjoy the holiday, right? Enjoy some time off.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that our Doppler friend, Tom, can deliver just a wee bit of warmth. I am pleased with no snow thus far. I sincerely am.
Yeah, you got to admit it's been great.
No, I won't admit it's great. I'm just pleased that there's no snow.
No, it's been great that there's been no snow.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay. All right, well, let's bring you in here now.
I'm in.
Well, you didn't think they would be raising the sales tax, but guess what? They did.
I don't know that I didn't think it as much as I didn't want it.
Yeah, it's going to be on the ballot in May, it looks like.
Yeah, I will say this, that
Let's
this
get into
morning, This morning, I received a message from our state representative, David Kniezek, and he shared with me the conversation that they were having at that time, shared privately with me, that they were looking toward an eventual vote for a sales tax increase, that the Democrats had received a pledge from the Republican caucus to do, I'm going to say, 5 things that were appealing to the Democrats in exchange for support to get this on the ballot, because as we know,
Yeah, there was some trade-off, I think, there.
Yeah, sure.
Well, not trade-off, but
no, it's trade-off.
yeah, I
You know,
guess it's
just
trade-off.
bargaining.
Yeah,
But the Democrats would have to commit to a certain number of likely votes to get this on the ballot, because any sales tax increase requires a vote of the electorate. So the latest that I heard was that they were pending a vote this evening at some point. Maybe it's already happened, maybe it's about to happen, but today, or perhaps tomorrow, a vote that would occur in May of 2015 that would add 1 penny to the existing 6-cent sales tax.
right.
And that penny would be dedicated solely to road and bridge infrastructure. So, I mean, look, you can spin it a number of different ways. One person may say it's a 1 cent increase.
Yeah.
Another person might say, well, actually, that's nearly 20% increase.
Well, it
because
boils
it's
down
already-
to, what, 1.3 billion or something, though.
I think they said 1.2.
Yeah,
but
1.2,
maybe
3.
it is 1.3.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, my understanding also, and I wish to tell our listeners, I don't know this to be fact, but the information that I have at this point is that there is not a fallback plan. In other words, some things that the legislature proposes say, do this, and that's what you get, or if you don't, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But in this instance, my understanding is it's a simple sales tax proposal with no fallback plan. I don't
And-
know that to be true.
And if the voters vote it down, they're back to square one.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Now, some of the good things, though, the road fines are going to be higher for trucks, I heard.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They're changing, I think, registration fees. I don't know if that's good. Warranty on the roads,
There's already a warranty.
they're working on.
Yeah, some of the
The
things
gas
that,
sales tax.
yeah, some of the things that I'd had an interest in will likely not make it as part of this package, but that's fine.
Yeah.
My real issue is that I did not vote in 1994, I believe it was, for Proposal A that increased our sales tax by 50%.
Yeah.
Took it from 4 cents to 6 cents. I voted against that.
Yeah.
I think that sales tax is regressive unless you're in an area that is predominantly tourist, like Florida. I mean, a lot of people, they can raise their sales tax and it's not going to impact them necessarily. But, you know, you're raising the sales tax and there's no index or credit, as I understand it, for low-income earners. And so at this point, based on what I know, I likely would not support it.
Yeah.
I would much prefer that the legislature do what it's supposed to do, and that is to fix the problem by itself.
Well, that's what Snyder wanted.
I don't
too.
like punting.
Yeah.
As a politician myself for more than 2 decades,
Yeah.
I've not missed a vote.
Right.
So, hey, there's a lot of things I would have rather not voted on, but I did, and there's a lot of things that have been fixed. And I think that that's the job. And I'm not criticizing the legislature. I know that it's a difficult environment, but my preference would have been that they worked a plan between the House, the Senate, and the governor,
Yep.
and then adopted a plan. Maybe spread a little bit of pain around, maybe spread a little bit of relief around, and just get it fixed without sending it to the ballot box. Because here's one of the things that's going to happen, Kerry. This election is going to occur next May.
Yep.
Depending on the implementation date, we will likely lose another full season of construction.
That's true. That's true.
So that's not good.
No.
They have the ability, by virtue of being elected today, they have the ability to fix this problem and make the effective date March 30th, 15 rather, 90 days after sine die. And that doesn't appear as though it's going to happen.
No,
so I'm
I don't think
disappointed
so.
in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't look good. But as far as the vote, I mean, it should be, all set as far as I was concerned. They had it all worked out.
Well,
unless
but-
they're tweaking it here
But
and
to
there.
be clear, it will be a divided vote. There will not be harmony.
Yeah. That's
chambers.
true. Yeah.
So the Democrats,
gonna be
again,
some
they've been
bickering.
challenged with considering, this and this will happen or will be prevented from happening, whatever the case may be, in exchange for support to get this on the ballot. It's a little surprising to me, but it's a pretty sweet pot. The items that
Yeah.
I saw were very, very attractive.
Yeah.
And if that's indeed what happens, it'll, in my opinion, cause a number of the Democrats to say, as much as I don't like a sales tax increase, it's worth it. And then it goes to the electorate. And I suspect because business will be getting a break on this, that you're going to have
else
the
is new?
you're going to have the business community that'll be highly supportive of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they will be.
but, then we'll be at 7 cents sales tax, 7%. Hey,
Well, you've been
the
against
Motor
that
City,
from day one, I know.
I have been
I
against
know.
that from day one.
I know.
I know we've had legislators at this very table
Yep.
advocate for
Yep.
it, and I've sat right next to them and said no.
Yeah.
And I've been there.
Yeah.
So it's not like I haven't been in that,
And our close
Capitol
friend is
doing the
voting
same
for
thing.
it tonight.
Yeah, but again, it's a pretty sweet pot.
It is. It's
And
but
so
it's got to get past the constituents.
I think
in May.
initially what's going to happen, though, you're also going to have folks that will be prevented from buying certain things, whether it's a new refrigerator, a new car.
Big ticket
Not
items.
necessarily something that they must replace. You got to buy fuel,
Yeah.
if you want to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to buy certain items that, may also be
Yeah,
inclusive of
maintenance
sales
items,
tax. But,
furnaces.
but-
I mean,
big ticket items, it's going to be another 1% added onto the price that
Yeah.
you're never going to get. I mean, you're never going to say, well, now my vehicle's worth more, or my fridge looks better.
there'll be a flood of purchasing before that goes
Yeah.
into effect.
Yeah, there will.
Yeah.
There'll be a big spike and
Panic,
then a
panic
big
buying.
dip.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, one vote for, one against.
You're a 4, huh?
No, I'm neutral. I'm saying David.
Oh,
I'm still thinking about it.
yeah.
But you're right. It's a pretty sweet deal. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, again, I don't wish to act like I'm uninterested in solving the problem.
Oh no.
But for those that are listening, my interest is in having it solved at the legislature level,
Yeah.
not at the ballot box level.
Yeah. And that's
what we
exactly what
hire them.
Snyder wanted.
That's
He
what we
wanted
hire
that
them
too.
for. You bet. The governor said, "Get it
Yeah.
done."
Yeah, absolutely.
and
he
I'll
did.
sign it.
Yeah.
Now he's being, pushed into a corner that he's probably okay with. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's horrible or anything.
Yeah.
But think again, it gets approved in May,
I
and
know.
it has an effective date.
Drag their feet
We're
too long.
losing
man.
another season, and that's not good for anybody.
Plus the election. I mean that the ballot that costs money. That's not free.
That does cost money. And it's not a guarantee.
No, it isn't. If that goes down, oof. I don't know. I shudder to think how many years we'll be behind now.
Well, but that's why another, the fail-safe I talked about.
Yeah,
Either do this or this happens.
yeah.
My
There is
hope, my hope is that, there's time yet.
Yeah.
Whatever they choose to do, eventually maybe it would include something like that. And then even a guy like me might say, ooh, that's even more of a bitter pill
That
to
is,
swallow.
yeah, that is tempting.
But we do have to fix the,
Yeah, they do need a
the
backup plan.
infrastructure. It's costing us more and more every day. And this is not something that we can nickel and dime.
So, what's new in the county? Anything new to
county-
report there? The jail or anything movement there? Nothing
Well-
going to happen until Evans get in there. Evans gets.
Yeah, certainly. Well, this was our last voting meeting of the year today.
Yeah.
So
you're done.
commissioners met today, and a number of procedural items and votes and whatnot. But as far as the jail, the only item that occurred today was that an approval was provided to have some insurance for some of the items on the current construction site. The jail project is probably going to find its way into, I'm going to say early spring before a decision is made. And, but, our day, my day at the county today began with my monthly coffee hour.
Yeah.
Had a lot of people stop in. It was
Which
really
is
great.
growing.
Growing, very much
Leaps
growing.
and
Saw
bounds.
a lot of new people today, which
A
is
lot
great.
of new people.
And a lot of my existing visitors, which is always cool.
Mm-hmm.
We also had today our official swearing in, not the ceremonial while everybody smiles for the
Oh,
camera.
okay.
But the official swearing in, and all 15 members were there today. So I got sworn in again, and
Who swears you in?
city clerk,
Okay.
county clerk rather. I'm sorry.
County, yeah.
And interestingly, though, today one of the things that's different is a law that we passed while I was in the legislature, and that is that if you owe any outstanding fees or fines, if you're delinquent in any area to the state or to the county, then you cannot assume office. So the preamble, before you get to be sworn in, you have to swear under oath that you're current and you're good. I don't know of anybody that didn't,
Yeah.
but I know some politicians right now that owe fines and fees. But
Really?
they were not on the ballot in November.
Oh.
So this law says that if you get elected, before you can assume your next term of office, you have to be current. So it's gonna be interesting
So they
to see what
take your
happens.
word for it, basically. They're not doing a background check or anything. To
Well, they
see
do
if-
take your word for it, but
I mean, it's under oath.
it's under oath, and it's a felony if you perjure yourself.
That's a big deal.
So a lot of people were surprised that we were asked that today. It was kind of funny because the preamble took like 2
I like
minutes
it.
to respond, and the oath was like 30 seconds. So yeah, we all did that today. We, of
Interesting.
course, have 2 new members coming to the commission, 2 leaving. So there was a very nice send-off. The
Now,
two
who
that-
are leaving?
leaving is Kevin McNamara and Laura Cox. Kevin attempted to
Some big names there.
Kevin attempted to become county executive, was
Yeah.
not successful, so he gave up his commission seat for that.
Okay.
Laura Cox gave up her commission seat to run for the state house, and she was elected. So
Right.
today was the last meeting for both. It was very nice. So there was a proper send-off given and a proper welcome to their replacements. It was all good. Only really 2 items on the agenda today. There were a lot of items on the agenda. I voted against 2 of them. I was by myself for one of those no votes, but a couple of things that cost the county hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it irritates me. And we pay these lawsuits because we were being gratuitous to people by when I say we, not me, prior to my service,
Okay.
by offering people early pension buyouts, and then they turn around and sue us because it wasn't good enough.
Seriously.
Seriously. So I voted against that.
See, that's something the public never
Nearly
hears.
$300,000.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Wow.
So I voted no. We ended the day, though, with a staff luncheon. And when I say staff, the county, its commission staff, and other affiliated employees, there were probably about 100 people. So myself, the chairman, and a handful of commissioners chipped in to have a catered lunch today, and that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all in all, it was a long day.
Yeah.
But-
Kind of a end of the year
Yeah,
goodbyes
soiree.
and luncheons and parties.
I got
and
out of there before they started dancing.
soiree. So have you seen Evans around? Has he been there at all, or how's the
I've seen
transition
Mr.
going? Do we
Evans.
know?
Yeah, we do know. He has a transition team in place.
Okay.
One of my comments that I offered at the end of the commission meeting today was to express appreciation and sincere gratitude for some of the folks who aren't coming back. You know, there's some folks that worked for the current county executive
Yeah.
that have not been offered employment with the new executive.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking some folks that have worked a long, long time for the county,
they're out.
and it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
You know, they're at will positions, so that
Yeah.
happens. But it
And,
doesn't
but not
make it
long
easier.
enough for any kind of a retirement or anything?
Oh, yeah, several of them will have that
Okay.
at some point, whether now or when they vest age-wise.
Yeah.
But realistically, you're talking about people who are still in their earning years,
Yeah.
and they won't be earning
Wow.
after the first of the year. So I've seen Mr. Evans. Actually, I invited him, and he participated in my Taiwanese dinner.
Oh, I saw that.
on
Yeah, I saw the
Saturday
pictures.
evening.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
attended that with Cheryl and I,
Cool.
and a number of others, of course. But you know, he's. I think he's being considerate. Look, the current executive is still in power,
Yeah.
so he's
No
I think
sense
he's
rushing it,
probably.
yeah.
I think he's probably just. He's more than feeling around, but he's considerate of the fact that he doesn't assume office till January
Yeah.
1st.
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably smart, you know.
Yeah.
Any idea what Ficano's going to be doing? Has
I've not
anybody
heard that.
No?
I've you know, I'm not in that circle, so I don't know.
Maybe Al Brooks will give him something out there. No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
throw him a bone. I don't think so either.
I'll tell you what, though, in our comments, because at the end of the meeting, we often offer comments, and today everybody offered comments, whether it was for colleagues or, you know, other things. I did mention something that I noticed that nobody else did.
Yeah.
And I thanked Bob Ficano for his service to the county. And, you know, some folks may have said, wow, but hey, he has been a county elected official for quite near 30 years.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
can't throw everything out the window because of some
No.
issues that occurred within the last
can't
year.
agree with everything he did, but you got to give the guy his just dues.
So I did, but nobody else did.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
I might have done the same thing, really. I agree with you.
You
I
know,
mean-
when he was my guest on the House floor for the State of the State speech in 2011, it was when some things were rather testy,
Ooh.
and some folks questioned that.
took
I
some
said,
heat
you
over
know,
it?
I'm fine. No, well, some people wanted to do that, but
Oh.
I was fine.
Yeah.
I also invited him the next year because Cheryl didn't want to go. So I said,
Okay.
sure, I'll have him again as my guest.
All right.
And, you know, I can get past some of that stuff. I'm not real
Yeah.
excited about financially what's happened to certain things in the county,
Right.
but, you know, one person cannot do everything in that county, and it
No.
took others to have some of that stuff happen.
Yep, that's true. That's
So
true.
I wish him well, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's it then.
That's it for the county.
That's it for the county.
Yeah.
What about for anything else? Anything?
I don't know what time is it. Ooh, we're getting close.
Yeah.
Well,
We're good.
I'll just offer this. We had our the board that I sit on that the governor appointed me to. The
Oh, yeah.
Organized retail fraud.
Yeah.
Organized retail crime. We met again downtown at State Police Headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good meeting. We talked about a number of issues, and I learned something there that I did not know. And I would say that nearly everybody in the room was in the same situation that I was. It was revealed, so to speak, by the state police colonel, who's a very bright woman, knows a lot. But she led us through a scenario where we have very little licensing authority over pawn shops and resale shops. And what's happening is a number of people are stealing these products out of our stores, brand new products. They take them to the pawn shop. The pawn shop is supposed to do X with them, but they do not quite X. They do Y instead. And so there's a lot of new product that's being sold through pawn shops. I'm not making this up. This
A
is
little
fact.
parallel to scrappers and the scrap yards.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
for example, Meyer Corporation in the state of Michigan this year has lost 600 brand new Dyson vacuum cleaners.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
At an
too.
average retail price of over $600.
Yeah.
And so Meyer investigators have honed in on some shops that have advertised new Dysons.
Oh.
And they've not at this point been able to verify or prove that they were theirs. But if any of our pawn shop and resale locations are listening to this podcast,
They're laying low.
I would suggest that, there's some significant effort to address that problem.
Yeah.
And so one of the oversights, though, that we're gonna seek the help of certain legislators, and I was given an assignment. I need to find a couple of legislators in each chamber that can be our state police and organized retail crime board friends to propose and push through some legislation. You know that if you take a ring, for example, or a necklace to a pawn shop and pawn it, they have to catalog it.
Right.
They have to hold it for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
So that you can redeem it. And if
Yeah.
you don't, then they can do whatever they want with it. But there's a period of time. If you take that same ring or necklace to a gold or silver shop where they purchase these products, they could give you the money for it and melt it right there, right at that instant.
Right.
So if somebody loses or has stolen an item like that, the thief needs only to take it to the melting,
To the gold.
to the gold place. They give them the money, and
Cash
all
immediate.
evidence is gone immediately.
Wow.
That needs to be fixed
Yeah. Yeah.
because we require it of pawn shops, but we don't require it of these gold
And they're all
silver.
over the place buying up the gold
They
and
are.
silver.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And neither did a number of people in the room. So we're going to be working to see whether there's an opportunity
Yeah, how can that be
to bring
fixed?
some uniformity into resale shops, consignment shops, pawn shops,
Yeah.
gold and silver purchasing locations.
Wow, that's interesting.
Without being burdensome. But, there's criminal activity that's occurring right under our noses. Some people unknowingly purchase stolen product. Other people purchase product that they should probably know is stolen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody is going to say, nobody's going to walk in the front door of a shop and say, I got 3 Dysons that I didn't need.
Yeah,
They're all
right.
brand new in the box.
Right, exactly.
Consecutive serial numbers.
Yeah. And those are expensive.
So,
yeah. Oof.
yeah.
And then you had mentioned that a former Livonia police officer,
Oh, yeah.
we
yeah.
may be able to get him on the show. And
Yeah, so a fellow named Mike Lancaster, I actually know his in-laws real well too, but I didn't know the connection until a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. But Mike has indicated that he would wish to join the show, perhaps first as a listener and then perhaps later as a guest. And Mike works for Kroger. Mike is the loss prevention chief, if I can call him that, of
Really?
Kroger for
Wow.
Michigan. And big responsibility.
yeah.
Grocery stores have a margin of about 2% profit, which is incredible. Nobody else's margin is that low, but they deal strictly on volume. I mean, that's
Yeah,
how
yeah, that's
you get
right.
you get folks, that are chefs and
Yeah,
and
'cause 2%
amateur
is
cooks like
nothing.
us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that buy product and it's in volume that they make their money. When items get stolen,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it doesn't take too long to dip into that 2%.
No.
And so he has a number of observations that he's made, and
Is he
things
just
that
at
are
one
sta-
Kroger or is he at
no,
several?
statewide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, but he lives in Livonia, retired police officer.
And how much, does he say how much is going out Kroger's back door? I mean,
There are
is
certain
it
things that he
substantial?
won't acknowledge because of company
Ongoing,
protocol.
yeah.
But I think that it's fair to say that if there's a business that has a door on it that people walk in and out of,
They're gonna have
they're all
product
getting
going out the
stolen
door.
from, but some more so than others.
Yeah.
And the big thing today is exposure liability-wise and exposure, I'll call it health-wise. You know, companies don't want their employees getting beat up or shot.
Yeah.
So some stores, I'm not saying which ones do or don't, but some stores have a no hands policy. If you see somebody walking out the door with a cart full of whatever, call the police.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get a license number from a distance.
Right.
And that's what folks are doing today. They're just
Good.
loading the carts up and walking them right out.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That. Yeah. Right out the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And that, you know, we pay for it
Yeah.
in the long run.
We do.
Big bucks. How much was it?
Boy,
It was, what was it?
I'd have to look at my phone for the thing that I copied.
It was a lot of money.
Big money. Yeah, I think it's like $80 million.
A lot of
State
zeros.
Michigan, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah, well, that'd be good. We get him on here. I'd love to have a, you know, a little powwow about, you know, this task force and
Uh-oh. All right.
fraud.
Do something else.
What do you got?
I have a politician in Lansing that needs my attention.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to break away just for a minute.
All right. Well, look, don't forget, we're still looking for guests to have on the show. So if you're interested in coming on, sharing your story, or maybe you own a business or provide a service you'd like to share with the surrounding communities, then now is the time to contact us so we can get you scheduled for next year, the new year coming up. Just email us at gccommunitychat@gmail.com. It's that simple. Now, I did want to talk about the Garden City Business Alliance, give you an update on that. We did have our holiday mixer. It went very well. We probably had 45 to 50 people there. We're real pleased. Richard was there along with Representative Kanisic and Representative-elect Plawicki. The food was great, provided by our friend and member Tony from the Garden City Cafe. So many people stepped up to donate items and their time. It was just a good time. Special thanks to the Straight Farmhouse for allowing us to have it in the Grand Parlor. Just a fantastic time. And once again, thank you to everyone. Also, let me mention that our next meeting will be January the 9th at 9 a.m. at the Guardian Martial Arts, located at 30942 Ford Road, and that is just east of Merriman. We hope you can make it. And for more information about the GCBA, check out their website at gardencitybusinessalliance.org. I did want to mention also that the meetings will be the second Friday of every month, so you can put that on your calendar. Remember, we will upload this show when it's made available to our Facebook page at facebook.com/GCchat. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/communitychatshow. Let me mention, I got an announcement here. The Garden City Garden Club is having a Euchre and Pinnacle card party. They're also going to have their 2015 calendars on sale, and members of the club that were in the calendar will be there to autograph them. Saturday, January 17th, starts at 6 p.m. Cards start at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the Good Hope Lutheran Church, 28680 Cherry Hill in Garden City. It's a $20 entry fee, cash prizes for first, second, and third place. They will supply the cards, snacks, and beverages. Join them for an evening of fun and good company. Funds raised will be used to support landscape beautification projects in Garden City. It's sponsored by the Garden City Garden Club. Once again, the Euchre and Pinnacle party at Good Hope Lutheran Church, January 17th, 6 p.m. Also, the Guns and Hoses. That was really a good game. Representative Kanisic played for the fire department, and once again, he was on a winning team. He's been on every winning team, Kanisic.
No, that guy doesn't know how to lose, I don't think.
He doesn't know how to lose. The fire department did win the trophy, and it was a shootout, and like I said, it was real entertaining. I don't know how much money they made yet, though. Bruce Shippey was supposed to let me know so I could mention it. Let's see. I did the Euchre and Pinnacle card party. City offices are going to be closed for the holidays, December 24th, 25th, and 26th, and December 31st. January 1st and 2nd. That's a lot of days off. City Hall is normally closed on Fridays. Tax bills deposited in the drop box at the north side of City Hall by December 31st will be posted as of that date. Trash pickup is only interrupted on December 25th and January 1st and runs through Saturday both weeks. I mentioned the Garden City Garden Club calendar. If you purchased one last year, wait until you see the 2015 calendar. It's called Garden City Garden Club Paints It Up in the Garden. Calendars are available at Lucky Dog Luxury Daycare and Boarding, 5921 Middlebelt Road in Garden City. Their phone number is 734-261-7387. Or you can order through our contact page at gcgc.weebly.com /contact page. Remember to include your name, phone number, email address, and how many copies you would like. Calendars are still only $12, and they make a great gift for the holidays. And they thank you for your support. All right, well, Richard, I think it's ready to call this a podcast.
It's a podcast.
I want to thank everyone that participated in tonight's show. A special thanks to author Wayne Stolt. Wayne, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you again for having me on. I appreciate it.
And remember, you can get his book, Crossing the Line. You can read it tonight if you want. Just go on Amazon. You can get it for your Kindle. It's $10, right?
Yes, sir.
Or they can contact you on Facebook.
Yes, and they can message me on Facebook, and I could send them a copy and have it
Autographed
signed,
copy?
autographed copy.
Awesome. And it's $22 if
Yes,
you
sir.
get it that way. And you're working on another one. We really appreciate it if you come back and talk about that.
Excellent.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Also, thanks to my co-hosts Richard and Tom. Great job as always.
We know.
Yeah. And Joey and Holly again for their gardening tips. Road trip. And thanks.
Yeah, but I don't want a vegetable dinner when we go there.
No, we got to have meat. We're meat eaters, dude. I want a steak.
Top of the food chain.
Yeah, there you go. Oh. And thanks to everyone who hung out in the chat room with us. We really appreciate it every week. Remember, for the latest weather, you can go to dappertomsweather.com. Also, if you have a show idea or a guest you'd like us to try and get on, just send us an email right now at gccommunitychat@gmail.com, and we'll do our very best to provide that for you. Don't forget to join our mailing list at the same email address. So we hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Remember, the success of the community depends on the community, so please support your local businesses. And also, if you see something, say something. Look out for one another out there. Check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/communitychatshow. So look, have a very Merry Christmas and a safe and Happy New Year, Richard and Wayne and Tom and everyone.
See you all next year.
We will see you right back here on TalkShoe, 8 p.m. on January 8th. Thanks for listening. That's it, Richard.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care and good night.